Welcome to the Paideia Way, conversations on whole person education. I'm Dr. Brian Winsor. I'm the founder and executive director of Paideia Academies in South Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Victoria Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Education here at Paideia Academies. Welcome. So today we will explore rhythms and routines, executive function for home. So if your home feels like you're repeating yourself all day, saying the same things over and over again, let's go, do your homework, brush your teeth, go to bed. Listen, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Most families don't need more motivation. They really just need fewer decisions and more structure.
I remember that as a dad. It turns into this nagging cycle. Man, I'm just nagging and nagging and nagging. And then pretty soon the nagging cycle turns into a threatening cycle. Like, if you don't do this right now, I swear something's going to happen.
Yes.
And then it turns into sometimes even a little bit of a spanking cycle, which I don't condone, and embarrassed that every once in a while I did use that as a young dad. But these things, today's episode, can help with that because it's about rhythms and routines, not as rigid rules, but as the kind of a structure that creates a framework for peace, because routines are a form of love. They reduce the chaos for children, reduce the conflict in families. They're how we make what matters most more likely to happen consistently.
Yeah. So in whole person terms, in education terms, what we're talking about is called executive function. These are the skills that help students start tasks, remember steps, manage their time, and finish what they start.
Yeah, here's a key. I'm telling you, if we don't design our days will design us, and they will not be kind days as it designs on its own. You know, Victoria, last time we spoke about choice and calm.
Mm-hmm.
So make that connection. How does choice and calm provide a foundation or fit into the idea of rhythms and routines?
Yeah. Well, when we talked about choice and calm, we were really teaching that ability to reset, to to breathe, to choose your next step, your next action. And that ability to reset really makes it easier to set and follow predictable routines. And, predictability is very important. Predictability supports emotional well-being because kids feel safer when they can anticipate what comes next. And by the way, adults feel calmer too.
So true.
Yeah.
And this fits into the habits, because habit 1 and 3, they really come alive here, and they it gives purpose to habits 1 and 3, because be proactive. That is, those routines and home systems are proactive instead of that react. And things happen to us as we go, and then seeing what matters the most. We choose the rhythm, we choose the routine before the moment gets too loud.
Yeah. So let's start with one practical truth about this. Routines work best when they're visible, simple, and repeatable. Now, we're not talking about having a perfect schedule or following a perfect schedule. We're just talking about a repeatable path that's visible, simple, and repeatable.
Yeah, I think routines, not rigidity. In fact, it's not about the routine, it's about building a family culture. A rhythm is a pattern that keeps the family oriented, especially on those hard days. And Victoria, you're a mama of a baby
Yeah.
and a mama of teenagers. So you have a hard days sometimes. We all do.
Yeah. I mean, yes, think about those hard days. Think about what makes those days the hardest. And usually, if you're like me, there's three routines that usually change everything. They can throw off the entire day. It's usually the things that happen in the morning, trying to get ready, trying to get dressed, trying to get out the door. It can happen during homework time, during learning time. It can happen at dinner time. It can happen at bedtime. We're talking about high friction moments. And if we reduce friction during those parts of the day that cause those high levels of friction, the whole day will improve. So as you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to ask you to pause the recording here and reflect for yourself, for your family, which time of the day is hardest right now? Is it your morning time? Is it after school, homework time, bedtime? Which time of day is hardest right now?
Well, that's a powerful reflection because I can reflect on it when I'm calm, and then I can pre-plan those routines. And the goal isn't control. The goal is follow through with less conflict so that your family can spend energy on the building those authentic relationships within. Yeah.
Yes. And it's important to spend time on that, those building those
Mhm.
authentic relationships. So thinking about that time of day that you were reflecting on a moment ago, let's do a quick routine audit. Now, don't overthink it. Just answer three simple questions about that time of day. What step does your family tend to repeat the most during that time of day? Where do you get stuck? And what usually triggers conflict?
That's important. Naming the sticking point, naming the sticking point when we're not emotional about it is so crucial because sometimes parents, I'm hard on myself. And if I name the sticking point where I'm upset, then I start to shame myself, or I start to blame the child, or I blame the child through myself and say that's why it didn't work is because the child. And so if we can name the sticking point when we're not emotional about it, then we can start solving the system. It's really a systems issue. It's not a person issue. It's how are my systems operating?
Yeah, and that's the solution. The solution is in the system. So I want to give families three routine building moves that we use in education. We use them here at Paideia all the time, translated for home. These routines come from a well-known teaching framework, and they're really simple. And you know them well, Brian.
Yes.
Engineer efficiency, strategic investment, and do it again.
Those are powerful. Those are powerful three parts of a system. We've seen it, we've seen it change classrooms, change our school environment. And because really, we're not, leadership is not about controlling people. Leadership is about designing environments where follow through becomes more natural and more consistent, especially in those hard times.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's get into it. Engineer efficiency. So at home, this means you make the routine so clear and so simple that the right next step is obvious and it doesn't require 10 reminders every day. So ask yourself for that step at home, for those routines at home, what's the smallest number of steps this can be? Are there any steps we can remove to make the task simpler? And then what can we do to make it visible?
Yeah, small number of steps because our brains can't really remember over 5 to 7 steps anyway. So keep those
Right.
small and visible so I could see it happening or not happening. And remember, efficiency isn't about rushing children. It's about creating and harnessing that habit energy that we've spoken about before. In the education world, and especially in the back of my old special education head, it's referred to as behavior momentum. I can get the behavior momentum going without emotion. This turns into habit energy. It fuels our culture. It reduces friction so that your home has more time for what matters most. Remember, relationships, learning, and rest.
Yes, isn't that what we're all striving for? A home where we're able to focus on what matters most, relationships, learning, rest. So let's take an example. Let's look at our morning routines. So instead of giving 7 verbal directions that you have to give over and over again in the morning, you can post 3 to 5 steps where your kids can see them. For example, might be bathroom, getting dressed, eat, backpack by the door.
Hmm.
And that way you can just practice these 3 to 5 steps. You can talk to your kids about what happens within each of those steps, practice it, point to the steps, and repeat. Second would be the strategic investment. And this means that you invest now to reap the rewards later. Practice at the beginning, practice when it's calm. You take a few calm minutes to teach and practice this routine, again, when things are calm, so you don't spend weeks arguing about it or trying to force it or trying to make it happen. That's called strategic investment.
Yeah. And this is the parenting version of put first things first. Habit three, the investment is small, but the piece it buys is big. Strategic investment looks like this. You practice the routine when nobody's upset, as Victoria said. It's like a rehearsal. You literally say, hey, let's practice mornings for 2 minutes. And it could be in the evening. It could be
Mhm.
on a Saturday. It could be any time, but we're just gonna, hey, let's get together and let's rehearse. Let's practice morning routines.
So, and then the third step to this whole process is that do it again. And this is where families usually either go into lecture or we give up. But do it again says we're going to calmly reset and we're going to practice the right way again. And remember, this is not a punishment practice, but it's positive practice. We're just going to try it again.
Oh, you said that last week or last our last podcast.
Yeah.
Let's try again. It fits
Yeah.
in perfectly right here. No emotion. It protects the dignity, protects the parent, keeps us as teacher, not as punisher or not as like the guardian of the system, keeps us as a teacher, the leader of our family. We're not labeling a child, practicing a skill. Once again, let's try again. I've thought about that a lot this week.
Yeah, and at home that might even sound like, whatever the languages you use at home. Is it let's rewind? Let's try it again. Hey, can you show me that routine again with quiet feet? Can you
Mm.
show me that routine again with a softer voice? Let's practice that again. So, this is a homeschool connection. At Paideia, our students succeed when expectations are clear, steps are visible. We practice transitions, we spend that time practicing, and we calmly redo them until those routines are strong. And families can really mirror that same approach at home and have that same outcome in your home.
Yeah, Victoria, I know you and I, we've seen this in master teachers. We've seen them use positive practice. And I love it when I hear a master teacher use the sequence good, better, best.
Mhm.
Here's a quick example. At Paideia, we have a routine just for entering the classroom. It's called threshold. And it's the same throughout the entire school, kindergarten through high school. It might have
Mhm.
a very different variations according to how old you are, but it's a routine. So the teacher gathers her students, his or her students at the door and says, hey, here's how we're going to enter the classroom. We're going to enter quietly, put your backpack away, get out your materials, quietly begin do now. It's on the board. She'll say that, they'll go in and do it. But no, invariably, there's going to be some little Brian that's going to talk on his way, or some
Mhm.
little person's going to talk. And the other way is like getting mad or calling that guy out. But in this system, we just bring him back out. Hey, so that was pretty, the teacher might say, that was pretty good. I think we could do better. So then they bring him back out to the hallway and say, no shame or blame. Said, hey, I think we could do this thing better. Remember, we're going to enter quietly, backpacks away, materials out, go to your desk, begin, do now. All right, I think we can do it better. You go in, do it better. And then she says, man, that was so much better. I think one more time, we're going to be the best in the whole school. And they bring them back
Mhm.
out. All right, remember, it's enter quietly, backpacks away, material out, begin, do now. I think we can do it. Gets them in there. Wow, that was the best ever. It was so quiet. You guys began do now right away. We
Mhm.
are the best. You see,
Mhm.
that's positive practice. And then, as Victoria said, here's the power behind this. When a school and a home share those methods, clarity, rehearsal, redo without emotion, then the children stop living in two different worlds.
Mhm. That's so key that the children can stop living in two different worlds. We can just share these routines between home and school. And that way it's so much more predictable again for that scholar. So now we'll teach the simplest routine building tool we call the micro routine. All right. So a micro routine is those 3 to 5 steps, and they have to be so simple, so clear that they can fit on a sticky note. All right. So examples of some micro steps in the morning. Think about the 3 to 5 micro steps that it might take to do your bathroom routine. What are the 3 to 5 micro steps of getting dressed, of getting breakfast, backpack by the door, out the door, headed to school? These are simple steps that we can teach our scholars, teach our children to get them through that morning routine in a quick, efficient way that feels calm for everyone.
Yeah, I'm hearkening back to your first question to us was identify your sticking points. So in
Hmm.
this, you said bathroom, get dressed, eat, backpack by the door. As a dad, I might, or as a parent, I might say, my sticking point is getting dressed.
Hmm.
So in my sticking point, I might make another little micro thing with 3 steps. Getting dressed means this. And so remember, small is not weak. Small is sustainable. Small becomes that habit energy, and habit energy becomes the culture of your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's really only 2 rules to this. And one is just make that routine clear. And the second is give a time frame. You know, we all know how much time we have before we need to get out the door and be on time to everything. So you can give your kids a time frame. In 5 minutes, we're going to be out the door. We're going to be in the car. We're going to be heading to school. We have 5 minutes. You can even allow, I know we talked about this, Brian, allow your children to be in charge of the time. You
Yeah.
tell them we have 5 minutes, and then allow your child to set a timer and say 5 minutes, everybody, 5 minutes. That way, we all know what the routine is. The routine is clear. We all know how much time we have to get it done. And remember, when you're working on it, treat it like a practice, not a punishment.
Yeah, I want to add another word. We all know the routine, but if I have my child own the timer, now we know the routine, but we all own it
Yeah.
together. It's all of our routine. It's not dad's routine or mom's routine. It's our family routine. I want to add one more. I want to add one little caution, and the
Hmm.
caution is that I've I've been an educator nearly my whole life, and as Victoria, you when you get this thing started, especially if you have some teenagers or some over 8,
Hmm.
sometimes you start the routine and you're going to get this.
Hmm.
Do not attend to that. That's not part of the routine. Ignore that thing. I call that behavioral noise. It's like the wind that blows. I don't get upset at the wind. I don't say stop blowing wind. So if your child gives you that little normal, and the
Hmm.
shoulders go down, and their little head goes down, like, why do we have to do this? Stick to the routine. Just go through the routine, nothing personal, just business. And I'm going to lend my calm emotion to that system. Yeah. All right. Victoria, I'm ready. What
Yeah.
is this week's Paideia practice?
All right. This week's practice is called the micro routine. So pick one high friction moment in your home, whether it's morning, homework time, bedtime. You're going to write a 3 to 5 step routine. You're going to discuss it with your family, with your children, post it where everyone can see it, and practice it once a day for 7 days. Once a day for 7 days. Keep it small,
Mm.
track your progress, don't look for perfection. If it doesn't go well the first day, that's normal. It's okay. Just say, let's do it again and practice the start calmly.
Hey, thank you so much, Victoria. I've gained a lot from this podcast that I'm going to think about and apply in my grandpahood this week. Hey, before we sign off, there is one additional optional companion resource. Really, it is optional, but we offer it to you if you can use it to the community. I also share some reflections from my backpacking experiences and my previous military wilderness experiences in my early life. And these wilderness metaphors go through a graybeard philosophy. This week's companion is Everyday Wilderness. It's a reflection on how everyday real pressures often interfere with our pure and true desire to create a calm home environment and be the leader of our home. I offer some quick in-the-moment practices that can restore you to calm and that better helps you be that teacher, be that leader that I know you want to be. We'll put the link in the blog if it serves you.
Yes, thank you. So as we end today's conversation, remember that you are also a whole person. Be kind to your body, your mind, your heart, and your spirit.
Until next time, be well. This is the Paideia Way.